Hello, listeners. We are so happy you are enjoying the podcast. One hope with this podcast is for more people to discover the amazing story of the Mahabharata. Liking, subscribing, and reviewing us helps other people discover the mind-bending story of the Mahabharata through our podcast. We also want to get better at podcasting, which would mean putting in more time and buying better equipment. So we have set up a Patreon, a method for you to financially support the podcast and get some exclusive Not Your Mother's Mahabharata benefits in return. Head over to patreon.com/spjaraj. That is patreon.com/spjaraj. Patreon.com/spjaraj to check out our cool member benefits.
This is not your mother's Mahabharata. Beware. It's fucking epic. Hosted by SP Jayaraj.
Hello, listeners. So this is a continuation of our last episode with our friend Nick Mroczek. Here is what you need to know from our last episode. A character is born in a Drona, which roughly translates to a vessel or a bucket, and thus himself is given the name Drona. Drona learns all the skills needed to be a warrior and archer, and he is charged with teaching the Pandavas and the other Kuru princes everything he knows. His best and favorite pupil is Arjuna of the Pandavas, and where we last let off, Drona promises Arjuna that he will make him the greatest archer in the world.
Did they write it down? Did they write it down? Did they pinky swear?
I think it's in front of everyone, too.
Okay, so there are witnesses.
Yeah.
That's something.
Then,
I'll take it.
you're really concerned about this. You're going to be less concerned about this in a bit.
Okay.
So, he makes the promise. He's like, you will be the best. No matter what, I will train you. You will be the best by my power.
Okay.
Some years go by.
Okay.
And
So he's like 15.
yeah, let's say 15 at this point.
Okay.
This will change by next episode, I'm
Got
sure.
his driver's permit.
Yeah. But all the boys are out hunting. One of them has a dog that joins them.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the Pandava, the Kauravas, or someone. There's a dog that they like.
It's probably a Chihuahua.
It's a yippy dog.
Not
the
very
dog
helpful.
runs out, and they're hunting like bigger game. They're hunting like leopards and things like that.
The Chihuahua's perfect.
Yeah, Chihuahua's perfect for
Oh
that.
my god.
Yeah.
Bait.
So the dog is like,
Just throw the Chihuahua at them.
the dog like runs off ahead, runs deep into the jungle, barking wildly, and then like stops. And they're like, oh shit, what happened? What happened to our dog?
Oh no.
And the dog is there, then they hear the dog running back, not really barking anymore. The dog has like 7 arrows in its mouth in a way that it's pried and open so that it can't bark anymore.
God.
Like it just 7 arrows, just symmetrical too. And so they're all like kind of shocked.
Perpendicular or like in like the mouth, like a bunch of like cigarettes.
I imagine it's like, if you were to put pencils together,
Yeah.
and have like the points touching each other, so it like kind of spreads out into like a, wide on one end. So he's got 7 of those that just kind of pierced together in the dog's mouth to pry it open that way.
Okay. Yep.
I have a visual.
I think I have a visual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's other versions where it's just like 100 hours that are just like just all shot at the same
Shoved
time.
in there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So the dog comes running back, and everyone's like, what the fuck just happened?
I'm just imagining this chihuahua.
Poor little Chihuahua. Like, just like.
The Chihuahua would have like fallen down because of the weight of the arrows. Yeah.
Just falls over.
They just found a tent of ours with like a chihuahua mouth on top.
Oh, this poor little creature. Was the dog okay? It was just it was just quieted.
Depends on the version.
Oh no.
So I've heard the dog's alive as far as like how much damage it did. But for this one, let's say the clean one, where it was just perfect.
Okay.
It was just kind of perfect. And Arjuna sees this and he starts to get really upset.
Yeah.
And not so much for the dog
Who's this guy?
as much as like, who the fuck did this? Like,
not
the
a skills
arrows are
practice.
so
Yeah.
perfectly spiraled in this way that
Yeah.
who did this? And he like, so they go in deeper in. Pandava's like kind of following Arjuna. They can tell Arjuna's like not happy, like what's
Yeah.
going on. And they see this kid, the Ekalavya. Well, once they kind of coax him, he tells them his name. Ekalavya is one of like the forest people. So he basically grew up in like the jungles and the forest, also known as the Nishada. Arjuna's like, who are you? Like, who taught you this?
Yeah.
And Ekalavya's like, oh, Drona taught me.
Bucket?
Uh-huh.
I know.
At this point, Arjuna is the favorite of Drona, even over his own son, Ashwatthama, too. But that's definitely like what the fuck?
Guess he was being hired out to train other people. That you did say that, Drona.
Other
was
people
being
came to
hired out
him. So,
from outside the
but
kingdom.
yeah, sure. But the thing is,
Sure.
like, this kid's a Nishada. Like, he's not. Why is he? So Arjuna has questions.
Okay.
Arjuna's like, what the fuck
We
is
all have
happening
questions.
here? And like, yeah, the kid's like, oh yeah, I was trained by Drona. And very casual. Very casual, this
You
kid.
know him, right?
Arjuna.
You saw what I did. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what's up here.
And just
Don't
like,
ask stupid questions.
it just feels like exactly. He's just kind of
Yeah.
like hanging out in the jungle. He sees these kids he's never seen before. They ask him questions. He answers.
You're in my world now,
For
bitches.
some reason, they're upset. He doesn't get it. He
Yeah.
doesn't give a shit, really. He quieted the dog. The dog was barking and annoying him, so he quieted it.
We need to talk about his anger, but
Yeah, I think we need. Yeah.
it's maybe a different time.
You know,
That's
I mean, at least he kept the dog alive.
It's fair.
You know, I mean, with that skill set, he could have done anything. I have a little bit of a soft spot for Ekalavya, and we'll see
Okay.
why.
Okay.
Sorry
Like,
to
you
all
really
the
are
dog.
protecting this guy.
Sorry for all dog lovers in this, or Chihuahua lovers in this case.
But the guy's a nice guy. Or maybe not. We'll find out.
So
Let's find out. Let's find out because
Arjuna runs back to Drona and is like upset as hell. And he was like, you promised me.
And I'm imagining this like over dramatic movie, just like 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All up in his feels about how he's been betrayed by his papa figure.
Yeah.
He's got an emo
You-
like bangs over one eye. Papa, why? He flings it. I thought I was the best.
You have absolutely got it. And
Yes.
and he's like, you promised like you were teaching nobody else. Drona's confused. Like what he sees that this guy who is at this point his son in many ways is, and he's never seen this kid like, you know, when the crocodile almost ate his leg, the kid was so like tame. That's why he taught him this stuff. That's why he made the promise to him. He's like, I don't know what the hell you're fucking talking about. Like, what happened? What do they see? And at this point, like, the other kids kind of pour in a little bit. And they're all like, oh, yeah, no, this happened. Like we had to, like, yeah, like, there's someone out there who's got shit fucking amazing skills.
Look at our dog.
And it's, like, more than Arjuna skills. At which point, the core of us are a little kind of excited about this idea. They love seeing the part
They're
of
losing
upset.
again on the other side.
Yeah, even though it's not one of them, it's like, hey, at least he's
Down a
upset.
notch, yeah.
Oh my god.
So Drona's like, all right, let's calm down. Let's the two of us go. Everyone else stay here. Let's the two of us go see what's happening here because I don't know anything about this.
Oh, he's already forgotten.
So
Yeah.
Convenient.
Very convenient.
So they go deep into the jungle to find this kid Ekalavya and to see what's going on. And, like, as they're kind of going in to see him, like, he does another, like, amazing feat. There were, like, 6 birds around, or, like, 8 birds, and he shoots, like, 10 arrows, gets all the birds, and then he gets, like, a lotus flower. Like, the arrow, like, picks up a lotus flower and comes to him.
Oh my god.
And I forget what the 10th thing was in the version I read. Something else just kind of remarkable.
It stopped right in front of him and he kissed him on the cheek. And then it landed back in his hand.
Yeah, they all kind of came back.
Oh, there's my favorite arrow.
So they all see
Good
that,
Lord.
like, Drona and Arjuna are like, oh, like...
And this kid's just doing these random things just for funsies around the forest.
He has the skill,
Yeah.
and he's hanging out alone.
Show off like this.
He had 7
Yeah.
birds.
That's fair.
Yeah. And,
Nothing else to do, I guess.
yeah.
Work. Chores.
Read a book.
Read a book.
So they come closer, and then the kid sees Drona. Ekalavya sees Drona. Ekalavya also is 3 years younger than Arjuna. So it's really
He's
fucked
12?
up. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's probably like, hasn't even hit his growth spurt yet. He's just
Yeah.
a shorty
Yeah.
Shorty McShorterson.
And he's got the skills
Yeah.
more than Arjuna with all his passion. And so the kid sees Drona and, like, just runs up and is like, oh, my teacher. And Drona takes a moment to, like, what the hell? And he recognizes this kid.
Some other sperm in the bucket.
Maybe.
No, not this time.
Does he sleepwalk?
I promise there will be more in future episodes.
Okay.
Okay. You better promise.
I'm not even, like, think of examples, but I mean, this is the path. Like,
I
this is
need
the
more
story.
bucket
There will be
situations.
more. Hello, dear listeners. I wanted to tell you about my business, Imagination Life Coaching. Through Imagination Life Coaching, I work one-on-one with clients to help you achieve your life goals. I'm someone who believes that we human beings have incredible minds, but sometimes life, stress, and our internal negative chatter can turn our minds against us and pull us away from reaching our potential. But we have the ability to reverse this and go way beyond. Through Imagination Life Coaching, I help you imagine new possibilities for yourself, create new systems and ways of thinking, and commit to healthy habits that help you take ownership of your mind so you can achieve any dream you set your mind to. If you are a creative artist, I can help you delve deeper into your creative action. Visit my website, spjayraj.com. That is spjayraj.com to schedule your first free consultation. All right, back to the show. So, and Drona starts to remember.
Okay.
Ekalavya, years ago, member of the Nishadas, like the forest jungle people, he also wanted to be an archer, and he approached Drona when Drona was training all the princes and Arjuna and all of them,
Okay.
and asked him to be his teacher. And Drona said no. Drona said, like, I'm teaching all these princes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to teach a Nishada. I'm
My
not
dance
gonna
card's full, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, that's, like, he said no, and then the kid asked for a bit of a blessing. He's like, well, can you at least bless me? Or either it was, again, different versions, or either it was he asked for a blessing and Drona was like, yeah, sure. Taps him on the head and blesses him. Or it was something that Drona said. It was like, if you're such a good archer, you'll be fine on your own.
Sure.
Something. And what Ekalavya does, he takes that little blessing and really kind of ingests it psychologically into himself.
Okay.
Then he goes back to the jungle. You have a question?
I'm just interested. I'm sure we're going to find out, so I feel like rude for asking. But Pops over here has already promised one kid that he's going to be the best archer ever. Either he's promised 2 people the same promise or something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Drona says Drona said he's not going to teach him. So, but he gave him...
actually
ignored
teach
me.
him.
Huh?
Oh, he just ignored you?
I'm getting to it.
He's just...
Because he doesn't. He gives him a tiny blessing, like, for the fuck of it.
Okay.
Ekalavya
The
leaves.
fuck of
For
it.
the
Yeah,
fuck of it.
like
Here's a tiny blessing.
He barely remembers this kid. Ekalavya goes back to the jungle, and again, like, kind of ingests this, and like he's a little kid. He's very excitable. Clearly, he got the greatest teacher's blessing, and he starts just molding out of clay this image of Drona. And it takes him like a week that he just kind of builds using all the tools, and then like depending how deep the version is as far as like how much of a nishada he is, as far as like maybe like I like to think of a version where he's even using like animal parts to kind of like form the center of this.
Sure.
But he makes and very like meticulously, creatively makes this statue or this clay figure of Drona. All, you know, like figures of the entire body and then also the head. Spends like an extra, like really gets finicky on the head and just makes himself, you know, this clay Drona. I feel like you guys
I'm
are...
amused by it because his name is Bucket. Did you just
He
make
just
a
made
bucket?
himself a clay bucket. But he was very adamant about making sure the top of the bucket was right.
He went to the
Yeah.
beach and just like, he
Yep.
made a little bucket. Yeah. Here's my
Oh my
sandcastle.
God, yes! He does like a sandcastle.
And so he makes this figure and just focuses 100%, meditates, prays, asks this thing question, but it's basically, in my mind, it's all his imagination.
Yeah.
He's created this idea of what he wants as a perfect teacher from one that he knows, and he imagines to himself, what would Drona want me to do to become a better archer? And then he goes and does that.
Sure.
So there's some natural talent with this kid.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Partly because he's also had like living as like in the Shada in the jungles. That lifestyle is, you know, more intense than living in a palace. Even the 5 Pandavas, actually, before they came to the palace, also they didn't live as the jungles, but they lived frugally
Okay.
for a little while before coming to the palace, which is one reason why they are also kind of tougher than the Kauravas, is one interpretation. But Ekalavya, basically, it's all him. He makes the statue of Drona, and then really, that's how he becomes super skilled. Just from like focusing so much, and I gotta say, like, one of the things is like that I love about this, and this is why I have that soft spot for him, is like within like what I do with the imagination life coaching stuff, like this playful aspect of it, this idea of creating this this mentor out of nothing, but then being so into it that he actually like takes it and becomes so skilled. That's like, I love that idea.
My brain's way too practical, and it's like that would never work. You wouldn't know what to do.
Well,
how could you possibly become an expert?
Yeah.
Fair. But this kid like could imagine.
Yeah, this kid's like
It's almost like he just like channeled him
yeah.
through the ethers. Like through that one little like, it wasn't a boon, right? It was just like a little blessing.
Yeah.
Through that one little blessing, he just used that to like make a tie to him.
Yeah.
Somehow. It's very interesting.
I do read a lot of self-help books, and like there are the ideas of like that's one way some people have done that, is that the similar idea of creating like these fictional things to keep focus on it. So again, this is why I love this idea that he's done this. So that's how he's become as like skilled as he is. So Drona himself didn't actually teach him. So Drona's then, and he sees Arjuna like upset, and Arjuna at this point is like fuck, like this kid did what? He's 3 years younger than me. He doesn't actually have an actual fucking teacher, and he did all of this, and he's just so much better than me. 3 years young, and it's not like 21 and 24. We're looking at like, let's say 12 and 15. Like physically, that's a big difference there. And still this kid is better than him. So Drona's like seeing Arjuna upset, realizing the whole like, this whole powers thing. And then Drona then looks at Ekalavya and he's like, okay, so I'm your teacher. And I think the word is Sishya is either the student or my mind. I'm your guru, basically. Like, so I'm your guru. And he's like, yes, like, very much so. You gave me that blessing, and, I learned everything from you. Well, if I'm really your guru, then the system is that you're meant to give me something, so that for me to be your guru. And Ekalavya is like, yes, yeah, of course. Like now he's gonna actually get the fucking blessing. Now it's gonna be so real.
Yeah.
Yes.
Solidifying this.
I know.
Let me give you. And Drona asks for his right thumb.
What?
Is that important? The arrow shooting?
Yeah. Yep, to hold the arrows.
Drona, why you gotta be such a dick?
And Ekalavya does it.
Oh God, this sweet baby forest guy.
Turns out he's ambidextrous. So
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. He doesn't need a thumb.
No.
He slices off his thumb.
Oh my God.
12-year-old, just like
12-year-old, yeah.
Doesn't even feel it.
Gives it to his guru. And there are recently I've kind of seen that there might be versions of this story where we see more of Ekalavya in but not as a main character. He'll join some of the armies and things, and then there are other kind of ideas and concepts which I'm ready to explore in kind of future episodes as far as what kind of happens to him. But as far as Arjuna is now the best archer in the world. There's no, you can't come back from that.
I mean, he could learn how to shoot through the other
he
hand.
just has to
He could,
pick on it
and I think he
harder.
does some things, but it's just never as good as
Sure.
what it was
Yeah.
beforehand.
God, that's
So,
so
and
terrible, though.
yeah, and so we
Yeah.
leave off with Arjuna and Arjuna again, different versions of the tale. The few they've had, some of them are Arjuna's really happy. Other ones he's oh, what the fuck? He sliced off his thumb.
Creeped out.
And it really depends on the story, because Arjuna is in some ways one of the most pinnacle characters in the entire Mahabharata, the whole archery thing.
Sure.
Sure.
And the big thing with Arjuna is it's him and his cousin on the other side, Krishna. That's their conversation that is the Bhagavad Gita.
Oh.
Later on.
Okay.
Much later on. So as far as the religious text is concerned, the idea of Arjuna being happy about this is going to piss off a lot of people. But that's the Mahabharata. It's there are shades of gray, and that's where
Character
we're the
development.
good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, but we also see other things happening as far as with Drona and Arjuna too. And again, Arjuna's young at this point,
Yeah.
still kind of caught on the moment of these things, but yeah, and then the aspect of this kid being a forest person too, where they refuse to teach him, so that idea also of the class element to it as well
Yeah.
is there. So that's where we're going to finish up, guys,
Oh my
with Arjuna
gosh.
being still
Do you
the best archer in the world at this point.
do you think that Arjuna respected Bucket for what he did?
It's odd when you call him Bucket.
Sorry.
Drona.
Drona.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he respected him?
I can't say.
For what he
It's
did?
again, it depends on the different versions.
Huh.
There was some version
Seems
that
like
I've read
such
where
a turn off
he's.
to me. My teacher did that to this.
He
In
person.
my
But
took from
also,
somebody else to give me what I wanted.
it's a different
Yeah.
perspective.
in my impression of just how that relationship throughout the rest of the Mahabharata, at least later on, there are that was an evil act
Yeah.
that he did, but in a sense he made this promise to Arjuna.
That's true. Yeah,
You
he had
know?
to fulfill his promise.
He made the promise to Arjuna. Arjuna was insisting on it, but he didn't say what
Could
to
have killed the
do.
kid, I guess.
Yeah.
Would that have been better?
No, I don't think
No, he's
so.
saying that's not better.
It's not? He ruined this kid's life.
But he didn't take it.
Didn't take
I
it.
guess
Yeah.
so. He'll have to learn to read now.
Yeah, so spend too much time thinking about archery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he still does archery.
Is he still good?
He's still good, but he's no longer. Yeah. He's no longer at Arjuna's level, whereas beforehand he was better than him.
Maybe he becomes a really cool mechanical engineer and creates a new thumb that he wears. He wears a glove that has a thumb on it, so he can.
He shows up at the archery tournament.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's our next episode. There's an archery tournament.
Really?
Yeah. Ekalavya's not there.
Does he wear a giant beak?
So I have a question, so two questions.
Yeah.
One, you said that like we're kind of. I feel like we're getting like glimpses of backstories on what sound like will be pivotal characters later on. Is that part of that, or is it all kind of happenstance that these are pivotal characters later?
These are all pivotal characters. So Drona's pivotal, Arjuna and all the Pandavas and the Kauravas. All the Pandavas, like all 5 of them are pivotal. I didn't give you the names now because we have a lot of names and this is going to focus on
Yeah,
him.
we don't need to talk about them right now.
But like it'll focus on like kind of where that rivalry between the Pandavas and the Kauravas kind of develops and people choose sides and things happen along the way. Yeah. Okay. So it's all like kind of they're young now, right? They're still kids at this point. They're still kids living in the same palace and
still foundational stories at this point.
Yeah,
though,
very
to get
much
us
so.
to wherever it's headed. Can I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
I realize like there's no like definitive version, but like is the style of the original kind of more matter of fact, like he did this and he did this versus colorful and where they're describing the beautiful green. Well, you know what I'm saying?
I'm reading like a version, like one of the versions I'm reading is by an author named Ramesh Menon, which is super ass fucking long in itself. Like this was my pandemic reading.
Okay.
And then the appendix in that like gives details on like where some things are longer, and it's like Tolkien had nothing on the Mahabharata. There's one point where you have like the 100 Kauravas, like they each have their own chariot, they each have their own style of horses, they each have their own banner, and I guess there are versions of this like quote unquote the original version where it's like this is what this guy's flag looked like.
Just
This is what
digs
this
in
guy's
deeper
flag
and deeper.
looked like. This is what this guy's flag looked like. And then like in this version as well, there's the names of all 100 of these Kauravas.
So the details are there or
Absolutely.
available in some fashion.
You can find them
For the most part, yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. This is exciting. A little strange sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Once I got past the splurging and the cum bucket.
Yeah.
I mean, we were on the splurge for a while.
Yeah.
We were there. We were stuck.
It is a comeback.
We were stuck in the splurge.
On that note, have an imaginative day. Thank you for listening, listeners. Thank you for listening to this episode of Not Your Mother's Mahabharata. Please like and subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss our next episode. My name is Satish Jayaraj, and I am your storyteller and researcher. My wife and co-host is Azure Anderson. Azure also wrote the theme music, she did all the editing and producing, and essentially did all the work to get this podcast to you. Without her, it would just be me swearing ancient stories to friends in our living room. Join us next time for the next installment of Not Your Mother's Mahabharata, and have an imaginative day.